Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships in this Monday edition video, going over a World of Warships news article. I hope you've had a good weekend and a good start to your week. So, several days ago, Wargaming released a news article regarding aircraft carriers in submarines and some upcoming changes that they are planning to do. So, I would take this more as a type of like development blog because they've not landed precisely, but they seem to be positive about what changes they're aiming to do at the game. So with regards to these two classes that do need attention, so I will say off on the first note, I positively receive any changes that come to carriers and submarines right now because they're frustrating for a lot of players to play in the game, and I can speak in more into why maybe as we go along and see what Wargaming is actually addressing. There's some other WoW's content creators and CCs that have done some YouTube videos, so I encourage you to check them out as well. This is just myself, Flimsy's take on this. So let's see what other new rework they're doing for both of these classes. Captains, we hope you're enjoying our New Year update. As we're wrapping up the year 2023, we want to give you a glimpse of some exciting changes that aim to address some significant carrier and submarine pain points you provided feedback on. You're talking, Wargaming, are you talking about, feedback we've given you like 4 years ago regarding CVs? And yeah, okay, we'll just have to see what they say. Before you read further, please know that we're sharing our current concept for these changes. We don't have any exact details just yet, and many things could change. That being said, we have a prototype that we are enthusiastic about. Okay, so it seems we're very positive about this, and we have outlined our ideas below. So two parts of this video. I'll just this will be the introduction, and now I will separate it into aircraft carrier changes, and then I'll YouTube chapter below for submarine changes once we get into that. So let's dive in. Aircraft carrier changes. We've been hard at work to find a solution for the following problems. Okay, so they've addressed 3 problems. One is that aircraft carrier plane spotting has too much impact. Yes, Wargaming, we've been telling you this for years. Anti-aircraft mechanics and consumables don't feel impactful enough. Yes! Rebalancing spotting in anti-aircraft mechanics while ensuring that aircraft carriers remain viable in battle. Okay, so they really seem to be, I would say, addressing some very common. These two things have been very common. I mean, there's only a few ships you can really build into the anti-aircraft builds that actually feel like they make an impact in trying to deny a CV. Unless the CV player is just really bad player and he flies straight lines right into all your flak, you never, ever able to prevent the first strike, okay? Unless they're just, the CV player is just bad, okay? Yeah, basically like that. And spotting, I mean, there's nothing I love like starting a match off in Colbert and CV spotting me, a Malta, and then dropping me for half my health, and then trying to avoid taking the dive bombers, and then to go broadside to have a Shikishima and a Musashi in the back shoot and just end me, right? Oh, Flimsy, you were out of position. The game just started. I'm still in spawn, okay? So let's see what they do. We've tested many different approaches in the past to deal with these problems, and while some came close to meeting our requirements, they ultimately fell short of our expectations. Okay, what are your expectations versus the player's expectations, Wargaming? However, we learned many lessons, and many of the previously tested concepts contributed to our current prototype, which is something that we confidently feel will address these problems and lead to big improvements in the overall game experience. Well, I sure hope so. Okay. Our new prototype. The core aspect of our prototype is that aircraft carrier planes will have 2 different modes, travel mode and attack mode. The difference between the 2 modes are outlined below. Okay, travel mode. We don't want aircraft carrier planes to spot enemy ships while traveling, only when they're attacking. Okay. This will reduce the majority of random spotting the aircraft carriers provide while scouting for targets to strike. I mean, your good CV players aren't just randomly spotting enemy ships. Like, they're actually being strategic. They drop the fighters, they rack up the spotting damage. Like, tons of spotting damage. So yeah, so it's not just by coincidence or doing it randomly. Planes will be able to travel at maximum speed in this mode, so I guess they're saying like without having to use the engine boost, because that's totally historically accurate. While traveling, the aircraft carrier will only have information provided by the spotting of allied ships. Okay, so he's not able to see an enemy ship beneath him then. Okay. Surface ships will be able to spot enemy aircraft carriers' planes during this period if in range, but their AA guns will not be able to engage them. Okay, that's strange. Okay. However, the defensive AA fire and fighter consumables can be used against planes in the traveling phase. Okay, so basically, oh, this is going to be trippy. So you can have an enemy carrier player fly over you, and your AA guns will not shoot him. And he can't see you until he switches to attack mode. So I'm guessing you know he switched into attack mode once your AA guns do decide to finally open up. But I wonder, because if a CV, like let's say a destroyer is spotting you, you're in a battleship, right? And you see the plane's enemy torpedo bombers from Midway. You see Midway's torpedo dive bombers coming in, but you can't shoot him, right? He's in attack mode. He can't see you, but he's relying off his destroyer buddy who's spotting you. And then he goes to line up for a strike, utilizing the minimap, and before he engages the strike mode, he goes right into attack mode, sees you, your A begins to open up, and immediately goes in for the dive. Like, is there a cooldown phase? Like, can you just switch between travel and attack? Like, I guess that's what I'm concerned about here. Will it be balanced? I mean, I know they said they don't have all the details for us yet, but that's what I'm concerned about, because you had like, for example, submarines could do that, right? They could surface and then they could go underneath really fast, and it was like you couldn't really do anything about it. Okay, I would hope that's balanced. Additionally, we're working on adding a new consumable for aircraft carriers, which will work in a similar way as hydrophone, but with limitations. The consumable will only provide brief information on enemy ship positioning without the ability to track targets over a period of time. Okay, so is that like I don't know, maybe every 5 seconds they can see, what does it say? Will only provide brief information on the enemy ship. So maybe like every so many seconds, you just kind of see, oh, there's an enemy ship here on your screen, and then then the next 5 seconds, oh, now he's here. But do you know if the CV player, if I'm the battleship and the Midway's coming in, do I know that the CV player is tracking me? It seems similar to the submarine submarine hydrophone. I mean, that's what they're talking about, works in a similar way. Because when submarines use a hydrophone against you, you don't know they're using hydrophone on you. And that's how they are really successful in getting their shotgun strikes off, when you have no clue that they're there, right? Okay, I mean, it's better than nothing. Take what they can give us to change spotting at this point, but I have some questions. While attacking, when launching an air attack, the planes will be able to spot enemy ships. At the same time, the AA from surface ships will be able to fire at the planes. In case the aircraft carrier keeps attacking the same... Alright, let me read this again. When launching the attack, the planes will be able to spot enemy ships. Okay, so when you're attack mode, they are providing spotting for their team. At the same time, the AA from surface ships will be able to fire at the planes. Okay. In case the aircraft carrier keeps attacking the same ship repeatedly, the ship's AA strength will get significantly stronger for a period of time, making it counterproductive for aircraft carriers to keep focusing on the same target. Huh. I mean, that is one of the things we've complained about as a player base, right? Well, I don't say player base, but majority of players have complained about a CV's ability to get a second and even at times a third strike off, despite being in an AA cruiser or AA-based ship, or a ship historically, or is supposed to be, or Wargaming brags about it in the selling point of the ship, that it is a strong AA suite, but an enemy CV can still get 3 strikes off on you. This is what I don't like about this so far. It just seems a lot of magic pixie dust. At the press of this button, you activate the magic pixie dust. As time goes on, AA strength becomes stronger. Now, if you want to compare it to something like secondaries, like manual aiming battery, secondary battery, whatever, right? You start off, you have a 10% permanent effect, and then I think it's a 50% that increases over time. Your secondary battery gets more accurate. Maybe you can say, oh, as the AA is opening up and engaging an enemy CV player, the AA crews are becoming more accurate with their fire, right? I think there's even been talk about, why utilize, like, and how you use the secondary battery to select like a squadron or planes. Like maybe you can focus more of a priority, like it's like priority sector, but you can focus more on a certain squadron if there's like multiple squadrons around, fighters on your left, or it's not dividing the AA fire or whatever. I don't know, it just seems like a lot of magic pixie dust in the game coding. We also want to provide a new counterplay mechanic for surface ships that amount to blinding the carrier. Surface ships will be able to restrict the spotting ability of an aircraft carrier for a period of time, resulting in the ability to see and strike ships effectively that would otherwise not be spotted by allies. The mechanic will, however, not be effective against proxy spotting. Counterplay mechanic for surface ships. So you restrict the ability of the spotting ability of an aircraft carrier player for a period of time, and so then their strikes are not effective. Okay, also interesting. Blinding the carrier. So then if this is like a consumable, then you need to know, like, you only utilize it when the CV's planes are in attack mode and your AA is firing. I guess that's what I understand from that. Illustrator's prototype allows us to experiment with the concept of adding another layer of depth in gameplay and control for the aircraft carrier players. Because it's so dentedly easy for aircraft carrier players, as is. Taking manual control of some of their guns, similar to the main battery guns on surface ships when not controlling a squadron. These will be the largest secondary calibers available on the carrier. This should provide a new way to deal with close-range targets. Taking manual control. So what, like a secondary battery on a submarine? So then all of a sudden now I'm like in a gun mode view with my aircraft carrier and I can shoot the DD that's yellowing me or something? Okay, I don't know. Thus the new mechanics described above will allow us to achieve the following results. Okay. Aircraft carrier spotting capabilities will decrease. Surface ships will have new tools for active counterplay against aircraft. Constant attacks against the same target will become less effective, and the value of AA consumables will increase. On the other hand, aircraft carriers will not be able to reach their targets faster and launch more attacks, as well as being able to control their ship's guns, which together will expand their gameplay capabilities and maintain their combat effectiveness. Our main goal is to improve the interaction between surface ships and aircraft carriers as a whole, and we don't want to reduce the overall damage capabilities of either side. Okay, therefore, along with the introduction of new mechanics, we'll be making balance changes to all surface ships and aircraft carriers in the game to preserve their core gameplay features while preventing them from being over or underperforming in battle. Due to the scale of this change, we expect to have to make additional balancing changes in the future for both aircraft carriers and AA. Since this prototype is in active development, we can't share more details at this point, but expect to be able to provide you with an update by the end of February. Okay, so it sounds like they're going to start messing with AA damage values. Okay, they want to... Sorry, I'm just going to wrap my head around this. They don't want to reduce the overall damage capabilities of either side. But does that actually effectively help? I mean, it helps in terms of the spotting, that if you're not getting randomly shot by a Shikishima, like, 18 kilometers away, while you are in spawn trying to push up towards the objective of cap play if the CV is in travel mode versus attack mode. Okay, but okay, so if I'm a CV player, see, this is the thing. Okay, you have to incentivize the CV player to travel in travel mode versus just flying in attack mode. So basically, in my head, I feel two pros for the CV player. Okay, one is if they travel in travel mode, they're traveling at maximum speed, so they get across the map faster. If they're targeting a battleship in spawn, or they're going to target the enemy CV in spawn, they get to that part of the map even faster than ever. Okay, so you're going to start seeing CV players show up in your spawn much sooner than you normally would, as of now, in update 12.11, or we have in the past. Secondly, is that to get to that target, they can fly over a whole fleet of ships and not take any damage to their aircraft. So if they want to save their squadron for a run on the aircraft carrier, or it's more convenient for them to get around and spawn, to get to target whatever enemy ship it is they want to target, they don't take any damage. But at the same time, the cons is they lose the spotting damage, and they don't get to spot where the friendly ships are, or where your ships are. Like if it's enemy CV, he's flying over a spawn, he doesn't get to see where our ships are positioning. Because part of what's fun about World Warships is when you can make strategic game plays and the enemy team doesn't know that you're pushing a flank, or you're going to run up alongside these islands, as an example. So my biggest concern with this is how fast can you switch between travel mode and attack mode. Because if it's like, hey, let me get some brief information, and so CV player switches from travel mode to attack mode for like 3 seconds, spots everything on what the right spawn flank, and then he flips back into travel mode. So it gives some brief information to his team about how your team is positioning and how you've spawned and what the layout will be. Okay, that's my main concern. But we'll have to. I'm just curious to see how much will CV players take advantage of the travel mode versus attack mode when maybe they're going for spotting combat missions, because there's so much ability in the spotting in terms of team play when CV players are focusing on that team play. Okay. Moving on, submarine changes. In parallel with addressing aircraft carrier issues, we've been working on submarine changes for quite some time now. Oh, really? We'll implement these changes gradually over the course of a few upcoming updates, and expect to see the first major changes with updates 13.1, 13.2. Okay, so they're going to do this. Okay, so over several updates. Okay, very interesting. So they're going to spread this out over a few months, sounds like. The upcoming changes are aimed to address the following problems. All right, Wargaming, what are the problems? Do you actually understand what the players have been telling you? The situation where current mechanics allow submarines to perform successful shotgunning of enemy ships. Shotgunning is when a submarine surfaces in close range to enemy ships, surface ships, and launches a devastating salvo of torpedoes that are very difficult to evade. Okay, I've only watched one other WoW's content creator address these changes in the game. I've seen the reason why in the beginning of the video I said a reference that there are others who talk about this. I didn't watch those videos. I've only watched one, so I don't know if I'm gonna sound somewhat similar to what some of them have said. But I was pretty sure that I remember Wargaming saying that shotgunning on a certain World of Warships official Twitch stream, that shotgunning was rare, and only a very small portion of the player base was actually doing this, and it wasn't like a big problem. Here in the article, it sounds like actually it is a big problem. So which one is it, Wargaming? Is it a big not a problem, or is it a big problem? Now you seem to be saying and sticking your neck out here and saying that it is a problem, which I'm thankful that you are finally addressing it, that it is a problem, because it has been a problem. And when you've talked about recently in your news update and removing airship escort, and that you were expecting to see a change in the meta that would go more back to brawling, how I would say before update 10.0, before the commander rework and Deadeye and butchering secondaries, this, that, and the other, between CVs and submarines, they are the main problem of why players don't want to push. Why players don't want to brawl. That's why you have GKs on the A-B line, or the J-I line. This, that, and the other. I was playing a game the other day. I had two Scharnhorst 43 sitting behind an island, and they would just peek out, shoot, and reverse back because CVs, because submarines. No one likes brawling and pushing up when they get shotgunned by a Gato, whatever you want to call it, that tier 10 steel submarine. Okay? So those are the main reasons, I would say, why players don't want to push, because as soon as you start pushing, a competent CV player punishes you. He wants to push you back, make you leave the flank, and then he'll go someplace else. He's done his job, he's pushed you away. Now you don't really feel like going to brawl because he's taken 10, 20, 30, 40k of your health. You get punished for pushing. Why would you push in World of Warships? That has been the meta since, really, well, it started with the update 10.0 when they butchered secondaries, and then they had Deadeye, and so Battleship players were playing increasingly in the back, and then you had stronger and stronger CVs like FDR, Nakimov, Malta coming into the game, and now you have super CVs coming into the game, and now you have submarines in the game that shotgun you, and who's to say how soon will we see super submarines in World of Warships? We're going to see it at some point. I would be shocked if the Wargaming never introduced super submarines into World of Warships. Anyhow, lack of consistent and understandable interactions between submarine and surface ship, and in particular lack of additional ways for both sides to counter each other. Yes. At the same time, we want to maintain the current level of combat effectiveness of submarines in battle, which we plan to achieve through a series of balance changes as well as updating commander skills, upgrades, and signals. Okay, so I think one of my most, besides my new player guide series, that's among my most successful series here on the channel, it's the upgraded commander build videos. Okay, so the ones I first started doing, I think I started doing those like 2 years or so ago. You know, they're really outdated now in the beginning, because Wargaming keeps constantly changing, tweaking, and affecting things because they don't know how to balance submarines. That's frustrating, because I like the commander skill videos. You know, it gets boring to like, oh, now I gotta do my third upgrade commander build video on the Massachusetts, or because the commander skills are just no way relevant like they were 3-4 years ago, right? Okay. It's a price I'm willing to pay if they actually fix the issue, okay? So upcoming changes in update 13.1. Italian and German cruiser tech tree branches, Venezia and Hindenburg lines, as well as several premium heavy cruisers will receive plane-based anti-submarine warfare. Well, thank goodness, because I was complaining about that with Hindenburg when I featured this past weekend, because there's no incentive and it's not maneuverable. It's a you know, heavy cruiser. To utilize the ASW. You just have to put yourself in a really bad positioning, I would say, and you really open yourself up to being shotgunned. Okay, so it's good that they're seeing changes there. The ASW replacing their ship-based depth charges. This means that all heavy cruisers except Dutch cruisers who have their own HE bomb airstrike will have plane-based ASW. It just sounds like something in the coding is why they can't do the ship-based or plane-based anti-submarine warfare with the Dutch cruisers, because I'm assuming it's a similar mechanic. Though you can use the airstrikes as a sort of ASW if you're good at landing and aiming them, because they do a lot of damage to subs. Additionally, we also plan to add depth charges on destroyers Leon and Ohotnik. A few updates after 13.1. Okay, I mean, all destroyers realistically should have depth charges. We're planning to improve ASW armament of mid-tier ships, improving their effectiveness against tier 6 to 8 submarines. We'll share detailed information on these changes in upcoming devlog. I mean, one of the beefs I have with submarines is that they seem ridiculously tanky. Like, how many times you have to shoot them to actually get damage for... I don't know if it's their damage saturation or what, but you have to shoot them a lot for them basically being like tin cans. Unreasonably strong in the game with maybe even too much hit points, I would say. So it's all wargaming trying to balance it. Some cruiser branches will receive the submarine surveillance consumable. We're planning to add this to the upcoming Commonwealth cruiser line as well as Italian, Japanese cruiser branches Venezia, Zal, and Yodo. Submarine surveillance consumable. Okay, but... So another consumable. Why can't Hydro just do this? Why does Hydro only detect submarines within 2 kilometers? If they're at their max depth. Otherwise, I think when they're surfaced... I'm not sure about periscope depth. You can spot them with Hydro if they're further out. Like, 5 kilometers as an example. This will provide these cruisers with an interesting new facet of gameplay, especially considering that they do not have a large number of consumables. Okay, so okay. If this is their first reasoning, they're just trying to go for ships, cruisers in the game that just don't have a lot of consumables to begin with, right? So then this probably means we're not going to see like the Moyne line, the American Light Cruiser line, not Minotaur, the British Light Cruiser line. Yeah, not Hindenburg line. Yeah, because I mean, you're getting to an obsessive point of having so many consumables on a ship. Adding this consumable to the new branch of Commonwealth cruisers will diversify their gameplay as well as enhance the sub-hunter role already inherent in them through their enhanced ASW. So I wonder if this is like Brisbane would like actually get a really good. We'll get this. More branches might receive this consumable, but our goal is not to provide this to all cruisers, similar to the distribution of surveillance radar or hydroacoustic search. Whereas the plan to change the mechanics of the hydrophone consumable, it's intended for more defensive than offensive use, so we will limit its functionality to highlight ships only momentarily on the mini-map in a certain radius, similar to hydroacoustic search surveillance radar. Visually, this consumable will work same as before. Additionally, the consumables will now be able to detect targets through the terrain. Still seems weird. When submarines use it to highlight the ship above them and their line of sight, that ship will appear as a silhouette only for a short period, about 6 seconds, and then disappear. Okay. Targets, I mean, is 6 seconds that short? Targets behind the terrain will be displayed as a short flash without a silhouette. Okay. Because I think, yeah. This change removes the ability for submarines to closely track their targets and thus pulling off successful shotgunning interactions more difficult. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, this should be able also make this consumable function closer to hydroacoustic search and surveillance radar, making it easier to grasp and understand. My big thing is just like when submarines activates hydrophone consumable, like I just have no idea if I'm being tracked or not. Like I would like a little like indicator or something just telling me, am I being tracked by a sub or not? So then maybe I know, oh, maybe I should pop my hydro. There's been times I've just been, like, I was in a ranked match in a Minotaur, sitting in smoke from my friendly who popped it for me, and I was really thankful. And then a sub just surfaced and shotgunned me. I mean, I had no clue he was there, and he'd lined up a perfect strike and everything because he was using, most likely, his hydrophone consumable. So I would just like to know if I'm being lit up by a submarine or not. Like, I don't think that would be difficult to do. While taking into consideration the impact of the improvements for detecting submarines and dealing damage to them, we plan to improve the turning circle radius of all submarines so that they have more opportunities to avoid detection by enemy ships, timely change of position, and better maneuver among the islands. Better maneuver among the islands. Sorry, that was read that weird. But don't they already have? I mean, okay, so when I last played Submarines, I played a lot in the testing when they were introducing into the game and stuff. And I don't... I have played a few of them in randoms. I've played a lot more subs and co-op and stuff like that. But my impression is that they have a really good turning circle radius already. And then when you look at, when you're dropping depth charges, so like, I'll be like 10 kilometers away in a battleship, and I drop my plane-based ASW, and I'm like, yeah, he's turning out like this, and then I drop them, and then his turning circle radius just seems so much shorter. Then I'm like, oh wow, like I actually overled him because I didn't realize his turning circle radius was like that good. So I don't know if that's really an issue. I don't know where it compares with other... I don't know how this compares with the shores in the game, but I mean, I wouldn't expect submarines to be able to turn super well beneath the water. I don't know. I'd have to historically understand that, and whether or not Wargaming actually took that into historical accuracy. Because I know submarine speed and I think even to an extent to the torpedoes, well, there are certain facets of the torpedoes that are not historically accurate by any means. We'll get some we'll update some combat signals for submarines to reflect these changes. Among the changes, audio and visual change, submarine collision warning will be added to the game for submarines, allowing submarines that have not detected each other to be aware of approaching one another at a distance of less than 2 kilometers. This is so funny because you would have submarine players who would just ram each other and they had no clue that they were right next to each other. Oh, that was there's some videos. I'm thinking of Overlord Bo. I remember some clips he shared. That was really funny. As another step in solving the shotgunning problem, we will test torpedoes with a gradual speed and damage increase over range. Wait, so they want to nerf speed and damage the closer they are to a surface ship? This solution is effective enough and is a good fit for our game. Some more submarine torpedoes may be rebalanced to be less dangerous in close proximity, but more powerful at longer range. Okay, so they're taking a step towards not making shotgunning so bad. Dynamic torpedo speed. The torpedoes will be very slow when first launched until a certain range, for example, the first 3 kilometers, and then their speed will gradually increase. This should give surface ships more opportunities to evade shotgun attacks. Okay, this seems... Okay, yes. I know this is a video game. Okay, I know it's a video game. It's not always meant to be historically accurate. I just wrestle when wargaming, when they make decisions to change things in the game, like we're based on Polyhomil's historically accuracy of AA. We've decided to nerf the AA to be more aligned with historical accuracy of the ship itself. Okay? Or its design, whatever. And then they change some random mechanic in the game, and people say, well, historically, like, that doesn't make sense. And they're like, yo, this is a video game. This isn't meant to be a historically accurate video game. So wargaming uses those two cards when it fits them best. And, like, okay, so like, what I would say, talking about fastest of torpedoes that just don't make sense in this game, torpedoes should be the fastest when you first fire them, and then slower over longer range they go. Just factually speaking. Again, I know it's a video game, but it just seems a really weird way to try to fix this. Like, what I would say is... Okay, so what would I think is a better change for this? I mean, this is a good change, but... okay, why not just increase the arming distance of the torpedoes so they don't arm, like, 1.52 kilometers? Make it to where the torpedoes don't arm until 3 kilometers, 3.5, 4 kilometers, and then they arm. Because historically speaking, submarines, they engage in ambush tactics and spotting. Even like the Battle of Leyte Gulf, right? The Battle off Samar, like kind of leading up to that. You had, during that Battle of Leyte Gulf, you had American submarines shattering the center force that was moving in to attack General MacArthur and his forces as they landed there, and Taffy 3 and all that jazz. And the submarines performed a lot of scouting roles, and then they set up their strikes, and they dumped all their torpedoes, and then they skedaddled, okay? What I don't understand is that these submarines didn't come up 2 kilometers close, dump all their torps, and dive. Like, that was suicide. So, not historically accurate, Dynamic torpedo damage. Similarly, the damage from the torpedoes will be very low within close proximity, and after traveling some distance, their potential damage will increase. Okay, this is more pixie dust. That's what I would call this. But I am thankful that they are making changes, because something needs to happen. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll get my concluding thoughts in just a moment. We need to really wrap this video up. Some submarine upgrades will also be updated. We're planning to update submarine commander skills, most likely in the first half of the year. Quite some time has passed since their introduction, which has allowed us to gather enough data and feedback to revamp them. This is quite a wide scope of changes, and we can't share an exact date as a result, but we will keep you updated. Okay, I've done like... Have I done 2 commander skill videos on submarines? And like the first one I did have one in general on submarine skills, as I understood it after when they let the player base, they let us all play them and test them out in the game mode. And then they changed it shortly right after, so that video became really irrelevant, but I still get, for myself, I get decent views on that video still, but there's like skills that just don't make sense and they're not the same as what they are in now, so I guess a little more work for me in terms of a World of Warships content creator if I want to cover submarine changes and keep with the times. Okay, Flimsy's official take, and that's what this chapter will be titled as. I am positive to Wargaming making changes. I think this is very good that Wargaming is addressing aircraft carrier changes and submarine changes. So I'm just trying to stay in a positive bubble. They understand spotting is a problem, has been a problem for a long time, and they finally want to take a stab at it again. They've tested some things out in the past that just they didn't feel was well. So they're taking a stab at it again. They seem confident, they seem positive about these changes to lessening the impacts of spotting, making pushing frustrating for destroyer players, cruiser players in particular. They understand that submarines are an issue in terms of their shotgunning capabilities. I don't know why Wargaming denied well, they didn't full-on deny, but they protested that it wasn't common, that it didn't happen so much, and only a few submarine players were taking advantage of this, when actually in reality, many more were doing this in almost every gaming session I was having. When I was trying to play how I used to, so to speak, until I know where submarines are at now. You know, I was getting shotgunned regularly, at least once or twice an evening of the, let's say, 6 to 8 battles I was playing. Not that they killed me, because maybe I was able to avoid some torpedoes, but most of the time they did kill me, okay? Especially in the, when I'm talking about pushing up in a submarine, destroyer or cruiser. I'm not talking battleship, okay? So they're addressing that that's a problem. What I'm concerned about is, I guess this is where I'm going to go negative now. What I'm concerned about is the implementation of these changes, because Wargaming and Reworks are kind of like, they've never gone together well. They tend to mess things up along the way. Like when they did, the bugs. When they do changes, they tend to introduce bugs, because as the player base, we lovingly, affectionately call it Wargaming spaghetti coding. So I'm worried about if they don't understand their coding well and they go to make all these changes, right? Will it mess up and introduce new bugs into the game? Okay, that's been, historically speaking, factually speaking, whenever Wargaming has changed something in the game to this level, it introduces new bugs into the game. We have to live with them for several updates, like you had a curving torpedo bug, you had aiming bugs, you've had, it's just, there's so many bugs. I'm just can't hardly remember them all, because they all happen at different times and you forget that they were ever a thing in the game to begin with. Like even when they introduce underwater terrain for submarines, this wasn't bugs, but your ship would randomly get stuck at different parts when you're not even close to an island, right? I can't remember the name of the map, but there was one near the middle, like you would just be sailing up it in your battleship, and then you would just randomly get stuck, and you weren't even close to an island. So when they make these changes in the game, they tend to affect the game in some way, shape, or form. So I'm hoping if they test things, that any potential bugs will be reduced to a bare minimum. Okay, I'm not expecting that Wargaming is they have the ability to go 100% bug-free with every update and every change they make. Okay, I understand that, but when they take multiple updates to fix a common issue like curving torpedoes, it's really frustrating. You know what I mean? So that's one critique, but it seems, I don't know, I just feel like they could do it more simplistic. It just seems a lot more pixie dust and a lot more things to keep in mind as they keep changing the game. And I guess the other thing is, why now? Right? Why now is Wargaming deciding that aircraft carrier spotting is a pain, as they have phrased it? Yeah, pain points. Why are they now addressing it 4 years later? Why couldn't they address it 2 years ago? 3 years ago? Right? Why is it now? What's the motive? Is it costing them money? Or is it there's less people spending money on the game? Is it because more players are leaving the game in general? Like, I have friends, veteran players, who've been playing the game for a long time. They're like, I'm done playing. Submarines was just the axe in axe in the coffin. It was the final straw for me. And I liked brawling. I can't brawl anymore in World of Warships because when I do, either I get dove struck by a submarine shotgunning me, or I have a CV that just makes it so painful that it's like it just takes the fun out of it and me wanting to play between him spotting me and dropping dove striking or dropping me in Des Moines. You know, one lucky rocket strike from a Nakhimov, I lose 20k. This, that, and the other. So, yeah, is that why they're now finally deciding to take changes? I don't know. It's interesting. So let me know your guys' thoughts on that. And let me know your thoughts on this article as a whole, because this is now over 40 minutes, and I really need to finalize this. So, Flimsy's take, in brief, positive. I will gladly applaud Wargaming for these changes. I don't know why it's taken you so long, Wargaming, to do 4 years after the pain points of aircraft carrier spotting and being dumpstered multiple attack runs by a CV. I don't know why it's taken you so long. I would have expected Wargaming to address shotgunning a lot sooner than what they have, because it has been a problem. I mean, they themselves, as the developers, when they do their World of Warships Twitch streams, get shotgunned. Where in few instances and not many players are taking advantage of shotgunning in the game. Okay. So, glad for the changes. Something has needed to happen, so this is probably like the... I don't mean to be like putting on a tinfoil hat. It's just Wargaming tends to mess things up when they do reworks. Okay, we've had the community contributor rework, we've had the CV rework, we've already gone through a submarine rework. Yeah, there's just these fun reworks that Wargaming likes to do, and PR disaster reworks, and yeah. So, anyhow. That's going to bring the video to a close. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. Take care.